Hey, it's Cuffy and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For this video, I'm going to be telling you the differences in the main dance and rave genres, and I'll be telling you about these different sounds since I've been DJing. Now, I've done a little bit of research on the internet, I can't lie. Well, I've done some notes and going to be telling you what I know since I've been DJing. Kicking off with house. So house was created in the early 1980s. House music got the name from a club called The Warehouse. And that club, the resident DJ was called Frankie Knuckles. And after time, he was then named the godfather of house. So house music is your standard, well I'd said your standard genre for most clubs, most parties and radio stations, you name it, and that would be produced at about 125 to 130 BPM, and your BPMs are beats per minute. Moving on to deep house, this is, you know, you're much more slower paced. It's a very chilled style of music. Some deep house tracks have a darker vibe than other deep house tracks though. It's also produced at about 120 to 122 beats per minute. With me personally, I love to start off deep house in my sets and, well, my mixes or whichever it may be, you know, gets you into the swing of things nice and easily, like I mentioned in the previous video. But yeah, DJ and producers in the deep house scene, to name a few, that'll be Duke Jamont, The Magician, Zoo, Gorgon City, and Disclosure, just to name a few really. Future house. So it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's more of a futuristic sounds. It's got quite a bit of melody in most tracks in deep house. In future house. Future house actually emerged in the 2010s in the UK. It's very groovy, and it's got a groovy rhythm to it, which I love personally. It's very uplifting, the majority of its sounds in the tracks. And it's actually produced at around 125 to 130 beats per minute. With Future House, there's just something about it which actually mainly got me into house, Future House did, which is another thing I love about it. And the DJ and producers, so Olive Heldens, which pretty much everybody knows, Charmy, Pep and Rash, and Marla or Mala, I don't know how you say it. Moving on to your tech house. Now, tech house, I still struggle to know a lot about, because I've only been into it a year really, probably less than a year. But tech house, it's quite a heavy style of house music. It's combined with house and techno, so hence the name tech house. It can have quite long transitions, but that's from what I've known from tech house since I've been listening to it. And I actually do like the long transitions, because, like, not to sound lazy or anything like that, but I think with tech house you can experiment, like different effects and long transitions. You can blend in and scratch out. You can do quite a lot of tech house. It's produced at 125 to 130 BPM, beats per minute. And your DJ and producers for tech house, your Camel Fat, your Michael Bibby, Chris Lake and Fisher. But yeah, for each genre, I'm only naming a few DJ and producers, because the list will go on and on and on. But your bass house, bit of history again for you, actually emerged in the 2010s as well. It's got really fun bass lines. It's got like lots of different elements thrown in there. Your bass line, probably say garage as well, to be fair, some elements of garage thrown in there. It's got really a fun groove to it, bass house, and I love it. And the tracks aren't too long either, so it's not like tech house. The tracks aren't too long, pretty groovy, just like your future house. But bass house is a lot more your wob wob sort of sound. And it's also produced at around 128 to 130 BPM. And your producers are like Loud About Us, Jaws, F Word, Chris Lorenzo and Holy Goof. But yeah, I've loved bass house, just before Christmas, so quite a while, and still learning about it, just like tech house as well. Moving on, EDM, and it's one of them where like some people kind of categorize it to the whole of electronic dance music, which is understandable because all this music is electronica, but it's kind of used to cover many different genres. And I think some people kind of like don't like to use the word EDM. Well, they kind of see it as like an evil term, but I don't know. I there's something about EDM that I love. So yeah, EDM can be produced pretty heavily. It's definitely more towards the modern side of dance music. EDM is produced at 130 BPM, so it's not too fast and it's not too slow. It's EDM. It's a lot more melodic and a lot more futuristic, you know, than your standard house, but it's very energetic as well. Yeah, and your producers and DJs for EDM are like your Martin Garrix, your David Guetta, Afrojack, Quintino, and the Chainsmokers. And a lot of EDM's actually been on the charts, and you know your radio stations, you know, like your Martin Garrix and David Guetta, you know, they've been on the charts loads. So moving on to electro. Electro, it's got a very electric sound. It can be very groovy to dance to as well. So the likes of Tommy Trash Cascade. It's a very groovy vibe. It's very energetic. It's like, I can't really explain it, but the best word to describe it is very groovy. And I love Tommy Trash Cascade. It's pretty heavy in its own sort of way. I think it's got the right balance between groovy and, you know, and bassy. And I think it's got that kind of like that, I want to say, that angry sort of element to it. It's got that like rougher sort of element to it, but it's not like in like the harder styles electro, you know, like a lot of tracks that I've listened to. I think a lot of them, it's got that ravier sort of darker push to it with like with some electro tracks. Some people might think I'm wrong, but that's kind of the sounding that I've got from when I've listened to electro. But anyway, it's produced at 130 beats per minute. Your DJ and producers, I said, Tommy Trash, Hard Rock Sofa, Crider, and Benny Benassi, to name a few for that as well. But moving on to trap music. I actually got into trap when I first emerged. I might be wrong here, but 2013 was when I started listening to it, and I fell in love with it straight away. But yeah, it takes influences from hip hop with a much more modern kind of sound, and yeah, I totally agree with that one. Trap is produced in many other different tracks and different genres, so likes of your hardstyle, for example. There's a lot of trap in quite a few hardstyle tracks and hardstyle sounds. It's kind of influences from your 808 drum machines. It's very bassy and it's got a lot of it's a slower tempo, but it's produced, you know, in different tempos. Like I said, you know, your harder stuff and also your slower stuff. So your 110 beats per minute. So your DJ and producers are like Flosstradamus, DJ Snake, Diplo, and Yellow Claw. So you got like DJ Snake, which is your chart sort of vibe, and then you got your Yellow Claw, which is your 150 beats per minute. Moving on to techno. Techno is a very repetitive style of music. I know a lot of people think that dance music is very repetitive, but trust me, techno is very, very repetitive. You know, it's quite a heavy genre. It can have a relaxing kind of vibe, but then again, it can have a very, very ravey sort of vibe. Techno has very long transitions to it, which then again, like I said, for your tech house, it's got a lot of pros to it. You know, you can add in effects. You can mix in. Oh no, me things run out. Batteries run out here. You know, it's got a lot of pros, so you can mix in, scratch out. 1 second while I get my charger. Actually, second. There we go. I'll cut out all that. iPad's now on charge, so let's get back to it. Techno, you know, it's got its pros, you know, of the long transitions, and it's also produced at 125 beats per minute. The DJ and producers, and this is one of the DJs that actually got me into techno, is Charlotte DeWitter, techno scene, Carl Cox, Adam Bayer, and I know how to say it. Amelie Lens, I don't know, but moving on. Trance is a very uplifting style of music, got lots of melody, very uplifting. It can have some very euphoric sounds. It can have a fairly long transition as well. It's produced at 135 to 140 beats per minute trance. DJ and producers are your likes of Tiesto, Armin van Buuren, Paul van Dyk, Gareth Emery, and Judge Jules. Judge Jules was actually the DJ that actually got me listening to trance. Moving on, so your hard dance, hard style, and raw style. Most of the genres, they all come under the hard dance category. Hard style is my favourite genre of all. Hard style is a very, very heavy style of music. Hardstyle is purely kick and bass with a distorted kick drum, which makes a dong dong sound. I like to describe it as if you put a ruler on the end of a table and like twang it, sort of thing, go boom 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 boom. Yeah, I like to describe hardstyle as that sort of thing. Hardstyle can have your darker sounds and much more melodic, upbeat sounds, which I totally agree with. Hardstyle is also produced at 150 beats per minute. Your raw style, on the other hand, is much more rougher and a darker kick drum with a lot more distortion. Raw style is produced at 160 beats per minute. Your DJ and producers for both raw style and hard style are Kutski, Audio Freak, Zatox, Alex Kidd, Danny BPM, Sub-Zero Project, and DJ Isaac. Hardstyle and raw style, very, very melodic, but I've also got the very, very like distorting sounds, and I mean very like dum dum dum, and dong dong distorting sounds, very heavy bass lines as well. Finally, hardcore and gabba. Hardcore originated in the Netherlands in the 1990s. Hardcore is more of a UK sort of name. Gabba is used to describe the more European sounds, and I might be wrong here, but years ago, apparently a gabba was used to describe the most energetic person at a party, or the person who went to a really underground rave. I might be wrong there, but that's what I found out on the internet ages ago. Not just for this video, but I found out ages ago. But I might be wrong. Hardcore is a very upbeat with plenty of energetic sounds. So like saying, your UK hardcore, the likes of your Darren Styles, I forgot to put the DJs down for this one. Your Darren Styles, Sign Unknown, Hixie, man's gone blank, Joey Riot as well. So they're your DJs, to name a few, and gabba actually sounds like a fast raw style, and they are both produced from 165 beats per minute all the way through to 200 beats per minute. So yeah, they're your main genres, your main rave genres and dance genres, which I've tried to explain the best for you. By all means, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm just trying to do my best and give out as much information, as I possibly can. But yeah, I might do another part to this if I can think of more useful information for you, or I might even do it on like classic sort of genres, or do more sub-genres. But anyway, yeah, if you want to subscribe to me, that'd be really, really helpful, and I'd appreciate it, and give it a like as well. I've just uploaded to my Mixcloud page where I've just done something completely different, and I'll link it down below for you. If you want to follow me on social media, my Instagram is DJ_Cuthie. My Snapchat is Cuthie or Cuthski. To spell that, it's CUTHSKI. Twitter is @Cuff94 or Cuthie. Facebook is Chris Cuthbert or DJ Cuthie. DJ Cuthie is my Facebook DJ profile kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, like and subscribe and follow me on Mixcloud. It's the Rave Sessions or Cuthie. Type in both, you'll find me. But anyway, yeah, I've loved this yet again, and this is me, DJ Cuthie, doing that same outro again, and I'm off.